Hi there folks, Simon here. We've got a treat today. This is a 2022 Q1 beginner tag tournament match, this time between SevMoun and pwhaug. I know that's not how a lot of people pronounce his name, but I pronounce it pwhaug. So they drew the short straw here, unlucky enough to be in this round one, and so they have to play here before they can go on to the semifinals. And the winner of this matchup goes against MehrGills, and we'll see how that turns out. I know Wags and Tack Tavern, they did already play their match. It was 6 a.m. my time, so sorry, I did not cover that. However, they did tie that, so they have to play blitz games until somebody comes out ahead in a blitz match. So they have to win both as black and as white in that blitz. So that's special and fun. So hopefully we'll get a chance to check that out. If not, we'll see who wins and goes to the final. But now we are going to be watching SevMoun and pwhaug go head-to-head in this beginner tag tournament match. This is a 6x6 game. 6x6 size board. This is a 6x6 size board. They are playing on a 15-minute timer with a 10-second increment. They get one game as black, one game as white. And if they do, again, if they do tie or both win as white or both win as black, then we will have to go to blitz playoff games. And that's 3 minutes plus 5-second increment. So a little bit different. There is no Comey in this tournament. It is a beginner tournament. We tend to not throw that in there to, confuse more beginner players. pwhaug has been in the community for quite a while, coming close to 3 years now. He played in 2 of the beginner tournaments last year. Didn't get into the finals, unfortunately, but he did perform pretty well, so I expect some good things from him. SevMoun is pretty new to the community. He's been, I think 4 months ago today is when he first joined the Discord server, which is when I track to see when people first join the community. So both players have done really well, and they obviously won their groups. Let's take a look at the group stages. SevMoun did win his group stage, and of course pwhaug also won his group stage. So both with 16 points, pretty well done there for both of them. So let's jump right in and check out game 1 of pwhaug versus SevMoun in this beginner tag tournament match. Game 1 is pwhaug in white and SevMoun in black. All right, we see the first moves of the game are A6 and F6, going for that adjacent corner opening, which is probably the most common. And then white immediately going for that knight's opening move, which has been made popular by pwhaug, especially in this most recent 2021 TAC Open tournament. He was using that quite a bit, and so have a lot of other people. Black, however, building off to the side here, not building anything close, and then that gives white the opportunity to drop this capstone. That's a really solid capstone position because it wasn't able to be captured or interrupted at any point. Now black is having to place this capstone off to the side right up against the edge of the board here. Not a very great place to have your capstone. However, white continued to build along in that vertical direction instead of shifting gears for that horizontal. Now black does have momentum here. Playing over at F4 would give black a much quicker path toward a road. So I'd say that's probably the ideal move here. And where a moment ago white was in control, I would say black is in control now after they play at F4. They instead played at C5. White notices that, decides to play at F4, kind of ruins black's chances of going for that horizontal road. That play at F4 would have been the ideal move, I'm pretty sure, in that sort of situation. But black was worried about white's threats, that they were shifting gears, when in reality he needed to make sure that he was paying attention to who had the momentum there. But now it's important to note white has made that connection here. This is attack threat in the vertical direction. White coming right with E5 onto F5 would be a road, so black has to stop that. and black has to stop that with a capture. Does do that, brings down f5 onto f4. This is now a not attack threat, but it is moving in that direction for black. White, however, is able to capture up onto f4 on the next turn. Now, it's important to note that if he captures up onto f4, black won't be able to take this capstone, move it on over onto f4 to recapture, because that would lead to a road for white. So black has to be smart here on the next turn or so. He'll have to probably drop a wall here on f3 after white captures up. So black will need to do something about that. Probably just continue to keep playing over here at b3, and that's exactly what he does. Plays over at b3. We're going to see f3 come up. Now, black's only move, the only one, is to drop a wall here at f3. That is black's only move to not lose here. So let's see if he sees that. If he doesn't see that, he comes over the capstone instead, he will lose to a road. Okay, he does make that correct move, drops that wall there on f3, ready to come up and capture onto f4. White probably wants to smash that. It's exactly what they do. Now, black is going to come up with their own capstone up here onto f4, as, again, that's the only possible move they can make to not lose here. White now has some decisions to make. They can decide to play a white here to go for attack threat. They can decide to drop a wall here to stop black from making the attack threat. Or they can do something else. I think those are the two options these really got to be thinking about right now. Personally, I think it's tough to say. I might go for the... Oh no, he instead plays at f2. I'm not really sure why he would play at f2 here. Black going to be dropping at a3, ready to make that attack. This is attack threat now. Black can make a road here at e4. White probably just wants to drop a wall here. Could come down with d5 onto d4, d5 minus, which is a portable tack notation. Over here off to the left, d5 minus would be d5 coming down onto d4. And we talk about that in the Tack University video of portable tack notation, or PTN. White does come down with that. No tack threat for either player here. However, black needs to do something. They can renew their threat by placing an e3, and that's what they do. Not really that strong, but it is a threat. And he's really trying to force moves out of white right now. White able to make a few moves here to stop this. They could decide to bring this capstone to the left onto e3, renew that tack threat yet again, force black to basically move that capstone or drop a wall here. And whether or not they will do that, we'll see. But I think white moving that capstone to the left is probably going to be the ideal move here. And then following that up, once maybe a wall is dropped or something, white playing over at d5. That could be good as well, or playing down at d2 first. Any of those work. White could also capture down with this 2d4 minus stack, but that would result in probably e3 coming left and just ultimately not that great. Does decide to drop the wall there. Smart play. Really cuts off black's ability to make that horizontal threat. However, now black has the opportunity to switch gears, go for this vertical threat on the left-hand side, where white doesn't have any pieces. He decides to play at c4 instead, which I'm not really sure I like that one, because it is close to this stack that white already owns, and so white can bring that over and kind of interrupt what black's doing. White now building around. White's going to probably want to play here at d2 on the next turn. So if I'm black, I want to play at d2 to stop that. In addition to stopping white from playing at d2 and making this tack threat, again, the tack threat would be taking this capstone, throwing it over, and dropping it onto d3 for this vertical road connection. However, if black plays at d2, that, in addition to stopping white's vertical threat, also works towards their own vertical threat along here. So I'd say d2 is basically the best move he can make here, and that's exactly what he goes for. White now wants to make up for that, might decide to drop a white flat here on c2, and eventually come over, or they could shift gears, maybe go up above. Oh, they go down to D1. Gonna switch gears, go for this horizontal line, and also interrupt Black's vertical line here. Black could decide to play down at C1 to interrupt that and also kind of do this, but maybe C2 would be better to protect this D2 flat. I think C2 I like a little bit better. Yeah, I do like C2 here a little bit better. It allows Black to protect this D2 from D1 coming up, because D1 comes up again, that's the tack threat. Black instead plays down at C1, going for the vertical yet again. If White comes up with D1, he's going to have to respond to this with some sort of capture move. What will it be? Will he make the D1 plus move? That's also another question. He does make the D1 plus move. This is attack threat. Going in this vertical direction, throwing that capstone all the way here onto D3. While it's not particularly sneaky, this is a beginner tournament, so it is definitely possible that someone can miss a threat like that. Although this group has been pretty solid so far in this tournament. They've been having some pretty solid games for a beginner tournament. Interesting. Black deciding to take his capstone stack, spread it upward to stop that tack threat. I am intrigued by this, to say the least. Now White has the thought, okay, do I want to jump up with this capstone and capture onto F5 to get this stack and liberate those captives? But they can't do that, because if they do, they leave behind Black taking a road here at F3. So doesn't want to do that. Probably doesn't want to bring this White flat over onto F5, because that results in that Black capstone going back down. So White plays again at D6, renews the vertical tack threat, just in a different direction now, or coming from a different way now, at D6 instead of up here at F6. So this vertical threat is still alive. Black has to stop it. I feel like a D3 minus here is probably going to be his best bet. He could decide to go C5 right, and then expect the E5 left. And then once E5 has come left, he can toss the capstone over onto D6 to be able to recapture onto that D5 stack and liberate those captives, come down a little bit. But he does go for that D3 minus move, which is the safer and sort of more obvious move here. White may decide to capture over with E2 or drop a wall next to this. A wall would be a very strong play, probably here at C2, to recapture and also to keep Black from just playing here at C2 and going for that vertical threat. Vertical threat that would need to be stopped by a capture up here, because Black has this capstone up above ready to come over and smash if White were to place a wall on C6. So we do see White play here at D3, filling in. This renews that tack threat. White can just take F3 and bring 2F3 left 1 1 and complete, or no, 2F3 left, and that would complete that road here. So Black's got to be able to stop this, and may decide to do so by spreading right or spreading upwards. If they do spread upwards, we're going to see this White wall come over left onto D4. But if they just come up one flat, then we might see this capstone come left. So a lot of opportunities here. White's doing a good job of keeping the pressure on. Black comes left with that flat. That's an interesting move. I like that move, because now if White wants to take this capstone left and jump over onto d3, black takes this double stack here and brings it right over onto d1 or d2 and f2 or e2 and f2. Sorry, from d2 to e2 and f2. So 3d2 right 1 2. And that would be a solid positive flag hunt differential move, which we talk about in the flag hunt differential or FCD video of TAC University. And that would really give them a solid look at the end game, though I'm not thinking that a lot of these beginner tournament games, even in the playoffs, are going to be going to flats. I think we're still going to be seeing mostly road wins here because the beginner players typically don't have as many games to be able to spot all the threats. TAC is not that difficult to spot these threats and to do these things, but it does take a lot of practice to be able to get in that mindset to see them all. And so it's very easy to miss threats or overlook them. I've got thousands of games played, and I still overlook easy TAC threats all the time. And we saw in the 2021 TAC Open, top players missing easy TAC threats also. Also in the Chandrian Invitational, we saw top players missing easy TAC threats. And so it's definitely not something that's only for beginner players, but it is something that we see more often in these beginner tournaments. All right, pwhaug really taking his time here on this move, trying to figure out how to work against this e3 left move. I think still that capstone coming left is going to be his best move. That would be a TAC threat, going right or going down. Oh, he's going to place instead. And no threat here from white. Black able to place here at c2 and make that TAC threat. And I think that's really what he needs to do here. Although it is going to be tempting to use this stack or use other stacks and make captures. It's very tempting to make captures in TAC, but typically, especially earlier in the game, like before turn 25 or so, which we're in, it's best to be making these flat-on-flat moves. He takes the stack and spreads it left. It would have been much better here to just place a flat at c2. Almost always it's better to just place a flat. And yeah, I think that should have just been a flat placement at c2. But it does the same thing, makes that vertical TAC threat here. Black is able to throw this capstone all the way to c6 and crush any wall that gets placed there. White needs to make a capture either with d5 left or 2d4 left. Those are the only two moves he's got right now to stop black from winning. And he takes it here. Now this, I think, is where things get interesting. I think he's going to make the capture. This is a TAC threat now in the vertical direction. White can drop a wall here to stop that. That's the only move, again, to stop this threat is to drop a wall at c5. And then once c5 gets dropped, black can spread this left and renew the TAC threat. And that's what he does. Now, white needs to drop a wall at a5. So once white drops a wall at a5, black places a flat at b5, which is another TAC threat. And then once there's a wall at b5. Now, white can't do that. Black can come over and smash. White needed to bring this white wall over to the left in order to stop it. It was a great, great play from black. Great sequence. It wasn't Tinue. There was a way out of that if he had moved the wall left. Black places here. White brings d5 left. And suddenly that that sort of Tinue sequence is gone, we might see black play up at c6 and then d6 come left or something like that. But yeah, there was really close to Tinue, but it wasn't quite there. But it was a really, really tough spot to get out of. Really, really well done from SevMoun. SevMoun picks up game 1 as black over pwhaug. And they got one more game to go to see who goes up against MehrGills in the semifinals of this beginner tag tournament. And that will be with SevMoun as white and pwhaug as black in game 2. All right, here we are with SevMoun in white, pwhaug in black, playing game 2 of their match. Going for opposite corners this time instead of the adjacent. Let's see how white reacts to this. Going to go straight for that center control spot. Maybe playing for that sort of mirrored opening that we're going to see. Black, I think, playing here or here. I like c4 better with the opposite corners, but he goes for this. Probably going to play at c4 next. No, going to play up above. Really just going to try and cut off the momentum of SevMoun, but SevMoun is able to just keep playing flats and keep twisting, changing gears here. Black dropping that first capstone, ready to cut off the momentum of white. I think white wants to play here at e4 now. E4 works for that horizontal direction, but he could also switch gears, go for the vertical, and play right there. Instead plays up at e5, and now we're seeing that checkerboard pattern. I do think e4 would have worked out better, because if black played here at f4, he could have just shifted gears. If he played up at e5, he could have just kept going for f4, and then kept that momentum going in both directions. Now we've got white looking like they're sticking to this vertical line now. Black's capstone able to come down to stop the horizontal, come over to stop this capture. Any of those things are possible. If he comes over for the hard capstone, he can bring this down, which would be really devastating for white. If black takes c5, moves it right onto d5, that would just be very disastrous for white. It looks like SevMoun has disconnected. Hopefully that they can reconnect. Okay, they have reconnected. Solid. All right, white dropping that capstone here after black makes that capture. Black brings that capstone over onto d5. This is that devastating move I was talking about. Black probably just going to take that, spread it all the way down here onto d4 and d3. No, not going to do that just yet. Going to play up above. I'm not quite sure why. White now playing after this. I think black wants to play off at f3. Not sure why they would play up at e6. e6 doesn't really do anything for them, because white can just come up or come over onto e6 for the vertical threat. So f3 would have been a lot better, because it would have been in that vertical or that horizontal line. Black can just jump that down, but instead they have moved e3 plus. That one I'm also having a hard time with. White dropping at e3 is good. Okay, black finally bringing that capstone stack down, interrupting that vertical threat of white. White may decide to place or bring this capstone stack partially down. Any of those are going to be good. Maybe the whole thing down would also be strong. But I think now that white has the opportunity to capture these stacks and liberate those captives, it's going to be really difficult to hold back. And I honestly don't think that these should be holding back right now. Maybe playing at e2 first and then coming down onto those stacks. That's probably the ideal move. But yeah, that's a strong position right here. SevMoun instead playing at d5. Not attack threat currently. Though it does not look good for black at this point in the game. White has a very, very dominant position here. Black takes c5 minus. All right, I can see white just dropping at e2 now, making the attack threat. That's exactly what they do. Black is in trouble here. If black takes that capstone, moves it over onto e3, then white's capstone is going to come down. Or no, then white's just going to fill in here, eventually bring that capstone down, make a whole mess of everything. Yeah, this just does not look good for black. I'm not sure if pwhaug's going to be able to find a way out of this. SevMoun really demonstrating why he has been shooting through the ranks in these beginner tournaments after only 4 months in the community, playing lots of games, learning from all of those. He has also been studying a lot of the games from top players. Looks like I got disconnected for a moment. Back into the game though. Black does come over with that capstone, captures onto e3. Like I was saying, SevMoun has been studying a lot of the games, looking into top players, watching recorded games with commentary from the 2021 TAC Open. You can also find on the YouTube channel. But yeah, he's been putting in the work. He is at a slightly higher rating than pwhaug on playtac.com. All right, we do see white come down with that capstone, captures onto this e4. Not attack threat for white, but he is now threatening to capture over it and liberate these captives. Just a really, really devastating situation here for black. It's going to be really, really difficult to come back from this. Likely going to require multiple walls and some clever play, and probably just hoping for white to make a misstep. We do see, ooh, and there we go, attack threat from white. Now, white's probably just going to replace at f6, filling in there to renew that attack threat. That's exactly what he does. e6. If I said f6, I was mistaken. It's e6. Now, black can do a few things here. Black can bring this d3 down onto d2, or can do some weird stuff like take this capstone stack and jump it all the way up to e5, I guess. I don't know how much sense that makes. Probably not very much. But yeah, black's in a predicament here. I think in the next 5 moves, we're probably going to see white win. But, I mean, I could be way off, you know. Black does bring d3 minus. White can fill in here, but I think the move he wants to make is actually to take 4d4 minus and leave behind a white flat here. The reason I think 4d4 minus is the move is because then black can't come over and capture with the capstone. And if he does e2 left, then black can drop a wall here. But doing this kind of protects that position. Black can come over with d4, but then white can come left with e4 and then basically renew that threat. So that's exactly what he does. Now we are likely going to be seeing something like, I mean, this may be a Tinue sequence. Black could come down onto e2 with the capstone, actually. And I think that would be the best move and would be the most likely to stop any sort of potential Tinue. Would be black coming down with that capstone. If white wanted to immediately renew the tack threat, they would place at c2, but then c3 can come down and stop that. Ooh, but now, if... Okay, yeah, this is strong. If white takes 3d3 minus... 3d3 minus leaves behind one black flat here on d3. They can continue the tack threat because this would be still a tack threat capturing upward. Black would have to take this flat and move up onto d4. And then white would fill in, maybe? Yeah, white would fill in, which would, again, be tack threat. No, but instead he plays at c2. Probably didn't see that move. Leaving behind a black flat, really counterintuitive. Can be really, really strong in certain situations when you're trying to keep your opponent from dropping a wall, and can lead to Tinue in a lot of puzzles that we've seen and a lot of games that we've seen. It's a really, really good way to set up certain Tinues. If there is a Tinue here, it's really far out. It's quite a few ply. Now it might be more likely. We're doing the 3d3 minus move. He might be able to make it work. But again, also might not. Either way, really, really strong position here for white. White is doing a great job keeping the pressure on. White now placing at c3, not going to be making that capstone move. Placing at c3, trying to maybe shift gears for the horizontal threat or capture down onto c2 and make that vertical threat yet again. Either way, white is way in the lead here. Black only has one flat without a liability underneath, so it's going to be tough going here from black to continue this game. Black now placing below at c2. I think we might be seeing white place at b2 to be able to win the capture war onto c2 to make that threat. No. We're instead seeing the capture up onto c4. Now, that's a fun move because let's say black continues for the horizontal or something. White may decide to go for the horizontal along this side of the board, which is totally viable and not a bad move at all to just shift gears and go for the horizontal. White has a lot of ability to do that here. But white also can toss this and spread it down onto c2 to stop any sort of road threats that black wants to make here. And I think if I'm white, I might just want to play here at b4 and kind of continue this and then use this to spread down afterward to stop his horizontal tack threat. But then maintain... Actually, maybe I'll play it at b3 instead. Playing at b3, I think, works really well because you know you're eventually going to toss that down, and then that continues this horizontal threat. Yeah, I like a b3 better than just a wall at b1 here. It's a little too defensive for me when you've got so much going for you, so much for your position. You've got this citadel here, you've got this stack. 3d3 minus is Tinue now? Yes, yes it is. 3d3 minus is Tinue now. Because of that that stack there. Actually, I'm not sure if it is or not. I don't think it is. Black comes up, because if white comes over, then... then white still needs to fill in. Yeah, it might be. It might still be. It might be Tinue if he does 3 to 3 minus. But again, that's a move that that you're not likely to see in a beginner tournament, just because those sorts of moves where you leave behind a flat again are unintuitive and they don't happen quite as often in games. And so beginners won't have seen them because they won't have played as many games to be able to see that. All right, black playing at c3, threatening this stack. White is able to spread downward and make the tack threat. Yep, and that's what they do. This is a tack threat by capturing down or capturing right or capturing left with d1. All of those work as threats. So black needs to capture onto this with c1, or yeah, that's basically it. C1 plus is his only move right here. And c1 plus is followed by this wall coming right onto c2. That doesn't stop it. White is able to make a road here. So well played to both players. Congratulations to SevMoun for winning this tack tournament match. That means, let's take a look at the bracket here. That means that SevMoun wins this match and goes on to play MehrGills in round 2 of this January 2022 beginner tack tournament. So congratulations to SevMoun for your win, and well played to both players. Honestly, it was a fun game to watch for sure. So, and both games were fun to watch. So thanks everybody for watching. Be sure to check out the description for all things tack, especially the tack Discord server, which is where you can find all sorts of tack resources, including people to play with online, whether that be on playtack.com or in the Discord server itself, playing asynchronous games. And it is a lot of fun, great way to get some tack in when you have limited time. So that is all for today. Thanks for watching, and until next time, have a great day and happy tacking.